I stood in my dining room in Hartford, Connecticut, watching my late wife's Leica M3 camera shatter against the hardwood floor, and I knew that Thanksgiving would never be the same again. The lens cracked with a sound that made my heart stop. 23 years of memories, captured through that viewfinder, reduced to broken glass and twisted metal in a single moment of rage. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Robert, and I'm 62 years old. I lost my wife Margaret to cancer 3 years ago, on a cold January morning that still feels like yesterday. She was a photographer, the kind who saw beauty in everything. Rain-soaked sidewalks, weathered fence posts, our daughter Amy's hands as a baby. That camera collection wasn't just equipment to her. It was her eyes, her voice, her legacy. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, my daughter Amy called. "Dad, is it okay if Brandon and I come early this year? Maybe Wednesday night instead of Thursday morning?" "Of course, sweetheart," I said, though something in her voice made me pause, a tightness I hadn't heard in months. "Everything all right?" Yeah, just, it'd be nice to spend more time together, you know, with the house and everything." Amy and her husband Brandon had been married for 6 years. He worked in finance, some kind of investment consulting that I never fully understood. Nice enough guy on the surface. Firm handshake, called me sir, brought wine to dinners. But there was something about the way he looked at things in my house, calculating, like he was running numbers in his head. Margaret had never warmed to him. "There's something off, Robert," she'd told me once, watching Brandon through the kitchen window as he talked on his phone during a summer barbecue. "He doesn't look at Amy the way you look at me." I'd dismissed it then, told her she was being overprotective. Now, 3 years after her death, I was starting to understand what she'd seen. Wednesday evening arrived with the smell of rain and dead leaves. I'd spent the day preparing the guest room, making sure everything was perfect. The house felt too big since Margaret died. 4 bedrooms for one old man rattling around, surrounded by her photographs on every wall. But I couldn't bring myself to sell. This was our home, our life together. Amy arrived first, alone. She hugged me tight, longer than usual. "Brandon's coming separately?" I asked. "He had a client meeting that ran late. He'll be here by dinner." She looked tired, shadows under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. "Dad, I need to talk to you about something." Before she could continue, headlights swept through the front windows. Brandon's BMW pulled into the driveway, tires crunching on gravel. "Later," Amy said quietly, and I saw something in her face that made my stomach twist. Dinner started normally enough. I'd made pot roast, Margaret's recipe, with roasted vegetables and fresh bread from the bakery she loved. We sat at the big oak table where we'd celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, where Margaret and I had our last Christmas together. Brandon was on his 3rd glass of wine before we'd finished the salad. "This is great, Robert," he said, his words slightly loose. "Really great. You know, you've got such a beautiful home here. Must be worth, what, 700,000 in this market?" "Brandon," Amy said softly, a warning. "What?" "I'm just making conversation." He refilled his glass without asking. "I mean, it's a lot of house for one person. Ever think about downsizing?" I cut into my roast, keeping my voice level. "I'm comfortable here. It's home." Sure. But practically speaking, the maintenance costs alone." He caught Amy's look and switched gears. "Anyway, I was thinking about Margaret's photography equipment. Still got all that stuff, right?" Something cold settled in my chest. "Yes. Vintage cameras are worth a fortune now. I've been doing some research. That Leica M3 of hers could fetch 15, maybe 20,000 from the right collector. And she had what, a dozen cameras?" "Brandon, we talked about this," Amy said, her voice tight. "We talked about asking nicely," he shot back. Then, to me, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Robert, sir, Amy and I are in a bit of a situation financially. Nothing serious, just some cash flow issues. If you'd consider selling Margaret's camera collection, we could." "No." The word came out harder than I intended. Brandon's smile froze. "No? Those cameras belong to my wife. They're not for sale." "Dad?" Amy started, but Brandon cut her off. "With all due respect, sir, Margaret's been gone 3 years. Those cameras are just sitting in boxes, collecting dust. What's the point of keeping them? I set down my fork carefully. The point is they were hers. She chose each one, saved for months to buy that Leica. It went to Paris with us, to Amy's graduation, to my throat tightened. They're not just cameras, Brandon. I understand sentiment. I do. But we're talking about real money here. Money we actually need. You're just... He stopped himself, took a long drink of wine. Look, can we at least talk about it reasonably? There's nothing to talk about. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Amy stared at her plate. Brandon's jaw worked like he was chewing on something bitter. Fine, he said finally. Amy, did you tell him? Brandon, don't. Tell me what? I looked between them. Brandon leaned back in his chair, swirling his wine. We're $60,000 in debt. Credit cards, personal loan, mortgage behind 3 months. I lost my job in August. Been trying to keep it together, but we're drowning here. Amy's face had gone pale. You said it was going to be okay. You said you had it handled. I'm trying to handle it, but your father's sitting on $100,000 in vintage cameras that he never even looks at. Those cameras are not the solution to your problems, I said firmly. What else am I supposed to do? Brandon's voice rose. Huh? My severance ran out. Amy's teacher salary barely covers groceries. We're about to lose the house, Robert. Our house. And you're worried about some dead woman's hobby equipment? The room went silent. I heard the clock ticking in the hallway, the refrigerator humming in the kitchen, the sound of my own blood rushing in my ears. Get out, I said quietly. Dad, Amy started. What? Brandon laughed, an ugly sound. I'm just being honest. Margaret's dead. She doesn't need cameras anymore. We're alive, we're your family, and we need help. I stood up slowly. You need to leave my house. Or what? You'll make me? Brandon stood too, unsteady on his feet. The wine had hit him hard. You know what your problem is, old man. You're living in the past, shrined to your dead wife, refusing to move on, hoarding her stuff like it's going to bring her back. Brandon, stop it! Amy was crying now. I'm serious. It's not healthy. She's gone. Those cameras are just things. We're your real family, not some ghost. I don't remember deciding to move. One moment I was standing by my chair, the next I had Brandon by his collar, walking him toward the front door. He was bigger than me, younger, but 3 years of grief had left me with a strength I didn't know I had. You don't say her name, I said, my voice shaking. You don't talk about my wife. You don't ask for her things. You leave. Now. Brandon shoved me back. Not hard, but enough to make me stumble. Amy screamed. He stood there, swaying slightly, his face twisted with anger and something else. Desperation, maybe. Fear. You're choosing stuff over people, he said. Dead stuff over your living daughter. What kind of father does that? The kind who knows the difference between helping and enabling, I said. Amy, you're welcome to stay. Brandon, you need to go. He looked at Amy. Come on, we're leaving. Brandon, you've been drinking. You can't drive. I'm fine. And I'm not staying here with him. He grabbed his jacket from the coat rack. You coming or not? Amy stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. Looking between us, I saw the moment something broke in her, some last thread of hope or denial. Go home, Brandon, she said softly. I'm staying with my dad tonight. Are you kidding me? After everything You've been drinking. Please just go. Brandon stared at her like she'd struck him. Then he turned to me, and I saw pure hatred in his eyes. You did this. You turned her against me. He stormed toward the living room instead of the front door. I followed, confused, until I saw what he was heading for. The display cabinet, where Margaret's camera collection sat on velvet-lined shelves, carefully preserved. Brandon, don't. He yanked open the cabinet door. Grabbed the Leica M3, the one Margaret had saved 2 years to buy. The one she'd used to photograph Amy's wedding. His wedding. If you won't sell it, maybe I'll just take it. 60 grand says you owe us at least this much. Put it down. Or what? He held the camera up. What are you going to do, old man? Brandon, please. Amy rushed forward. You want to choose cameras over family? Fine. Let's see how much this one really means to you. He threw it. Not at me, at the floor. Hard, deliberately. The way you'd throw something you wanted to destroy. It hit the hardwood with a crack that seemed to echo through the whole house. The lens shattered, the body cracked, metal pieces scattered across the floor like shrapnel. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. I stared at the broken pieces. Remembered Margaret's face the day she brought it home, how carefully she'd held it, how her whole face had lit up. Remembered her showing Amy how to adjust the aperture, teaching her to see light the way photographers see it. Remembered the last photo she'd taken with it, 3 weeks before the diagnosis. Me in the garden, laughing at something she'd said. When I looked up, Brandon was backing toward the door, his face a mix of triumph and fear. Now you know how it feels, he said, to lose something you care about. He left. The door slammed. His car roared to life and squealed out of the driveway. Amy dropped to her knees beside me, gathering the broken pieces. Dad, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. I just stared at the fragments in her hands. I didn't know he was this bad, she whispered. I knew he had money problems, but I didn't know. Her voice broke. He's been lying to me. About everything. The job, the debt, all of it. She looked up at me, and I saw Margaret in her face. The same eyes, the same strength underneath the fear. I need to tell you something, she said. The reason I wanted to come early. I found betting slips in his car. Horse racing, online poker, sports betting. Dad, I think he has a gambling problem. I think that's where all our money went. The pieces fell into place. The cash flow issues. The desperation. The way he'd looked at my house, at Margaret's cameras, like they were his salvation. How long have you known? I asked gently. 2 weeks. I've been trying to figure out what to do. I thought maybe if I could get him to admit it, to get help. She looked at the broken camera. But he's not going to get help, is he? Not until he's ready, I said. And maybe not even then. We sat on the floor together, my daughter and I, surrounded by broken glass and broken dreams. Outside, rain started to fall, tapping against the windows like Margaret used to tap on her camera before taking a shot. 1, 2, 3. What do I do? Amy asked. I put my arm around her. What do you want to do? I don't know. I love him, or I loved who I thought he was. But this person, tonight, she shook her head. He destroyed something precious, to hurt you, to hurt us. What kind of person does that? Someone who's very sick, I said. Or very desperate. Maybe both. Is it wrong that I'm more upset about the camera than about him leaving? No, honey. That camera represented something real. Your mother's passion, her art, her love. What Brandon represents right now, I'm not sure what that is anymore. We cleaned up the pieces together, every fragment carefully collected. I couldn't repair the camera, but I couldn't throw it away either. It went into a box in my closet, next to Margaret's favorite scarf and the reading glasses she'd worn the last year of her life. Amy stayed in her old room that night. Around midnight, I heard her on the phone. Quiet at first, then louder. No, Brandon, I'm not coming home tonight. Because you destroyed my mother's camera. Because you've been lying to me for months. I don't care if you're sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Stop calling me. I need space to think. The next morning, Thanksgiving Day, we didn't make turkey. We sat at the kitchen table with coffee and toast, and Amy told me everything. The credit card statements she'd found hidden in his desk. The second mortgage he'd taken out without telling her. The loan sharks who'd called the house. The gambling sites bookmarked on his laptop. He promised me last year it was under control, she said, after I found out the first time. He swore he'd stopped, that he was going to meetings. But he just got better at hiding it. What do you want to happen now? I asked. She was quiet for a long time. Then, I want a divorce. The words hung in the air between us. I've been thinking it for months, she continued. But I kept talking myself out of it. Marriage is supposed to be for better or worse, right? In sickness and health, I felt like giving up made me a failure. Protecting yourself from someone who's destroying you both isn't giving up, I said. Your mother would tell you the same thing. I know. I wanted so badly to make it work, to prove I'd chosen right, to not be another divorce statistic. She looked at me. How did you and Mom make it work? 34 years together. What was the secret? I thought about Margaret, about the fights we'd had, the rough patches, the times we'd almost called it quits, about the difference between struggling together and one person dragging the other down. Honesty, I said finally. Respect. Wanting the other person's happiness as much as your own. Your mother and I weren't perfect. We had hard times, but we never lied to each other, never tried to manipulate or control, never deliberately hurt each other to get our way. Brandon threw the camera to hurt you, to punish you for saying no, yes. That's not love, is it? No, sweetheart. That's not love. She nodded slowly, took a deep breath. Okay, I'm going to call a lawyer on Monday. That afternoon, Brandon showed up, sober this time, holding flowers from the grocery store. I watched from the window as Amy went out to talk to him, saw him gesture, plead, try to take her hand, saw her step back, shake her head, keep shaking her head. He tried to come to the door. I opened it before he could knock. I want to apologize, he said. Robert, sir, I was drunk and stupid and... You were drunk and honest, I said. People say what they really mean when they're drunk. You showed me exactly who you are. I'll replace the camera. I'll find one just like it. You can't replace it. It was Margaret's. She held it, used it, loved it. Another camera wouldn't be the same. Then what can I do? Get help, real help. For the gambling, for whatever else is going on. Not for Amy. Not to save your marriage. For yourself. He looked past me, searching for Amy. Can I talk to her? She doesn't want to talk to you right now. She's my wife. And you're a man who destroyed her mother's camera to prove a point. Leave, Brandon. There's nothing for you here. I closed the door. Heard him shouting on the porch. Then finally, the sound of his car driving away. Amy came back inside, wrapped herself in one of Margaret's old cardigans that still hung by the door. Thank you, she said. For what? For not saying I told you so. For not making me feel stupid. You're not stupid. You're someone who believed in love and tried to make it work. That's not stupid. That's brave. We spent the rest of Thanksgiving together, just the two of us, made grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup, watched old movies, went through photo albums filled with Margaret's work. Every picture, a memory, a moment captured and preserved. She was really talented, Amy said, studying a black and white shot of a playground at dawn, empty swings creating shadows on fresh snow. She was. And she passed that gift to you. Amy had been taking photos since she was 12. Never professionally, but she had her mother's eye, saw beauty in ordinary things. Do you think? She hesitated. Could I have one of her cameras? Not the expensive ones, just something to remember her by. To use. I went to the cabinet, carefully selected a Pentax K1000, Margaret's first real camera, the one she'd learned on. She'd want you to have this, I said. She'd want you to keep taking pictures, to keep seeing the world the way she did. Amy held it carefully, reverently, looked through the viewfinder at me. You look sad, she said. I am sad, but I'm also proud of you. It takes courage to leave, to start over. I'm terrified. That's how you know it's the right thing. The next few weeks were hard. Amy filed for divorce on Monday. Brandon fought it at first, tried to claim she'd abandoned him, that I'd poisoned her against him. But the evidence of his gambling was overwhelming. Bank statements, betting site histories, testimonies from friends who'd loaned him money. He showed up at my house twice more, once drunk, shouting about how I'd ruined his life. I called the police that time. The officer who responded was young, patient, explained to Brandon about restraining orders and harassment. The second time, he was sober, crying, begging me to convince Amy to give him another chance. I love her, he said. I messed up, but I love her. Then prove it, I said. Get into treatment. Go to Gamblers Anonymous. Fix yourself. But don't do it for her. Do it because you need to change who you are. Will she take me back if I do? I don't know. But whether she does or not, you need to get help. I don't know if he ever did. Amy's lawyer handled everything from there. The divorce was final by February. Amy moved back home temporarily, into her old room, with the posters she'd put up in high school, still on the walls. We fell into a routine: coffee in the mornings, dinner together 3 nights a week, long walks on weekends. She started taking pictures again. Really taking them, the way Margaret used to. Would come home from work with the Pentax, full of shots. Kids on the playground at her school. Frost patterns on car windows. The way light fell through trees in the park. Mom used to say that photography is about seeing what's already there, she told me one evening. Not creating something new, but noticing what everyone else walks past. She also said that the best photographs tell the truth, I added. Even when the truth is hard. Amy looked at me. Like how hard it is to admit you married the wrong person? Like that. Or how hard it is to keep living after someone you love dies. That too. We sat together in comfortable silence. The kind of silence Margaret and I used to share. Not empty, but full. Full of understanding and acceptance and love. 3 months after the divorce, Amy showed me something. A photograph she'd taken of the broken Leica. The pieces arranged artfully on a white background. Beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. I'm calling it Shattered, she said. Is that okay, using it? It's perfect, I said. And it was. Margaret would have loved it. The honesty of it. The way it took something broken and found beauty in the fragments. Amy submitted it to a local art show. It won 2nd place. At the reception, standing next to her mother's broken camera transformed into art, Amy held my hand. Thank you for not letting me settle, she said, for showing me that some things are worth protecting, even when it's hard. Your mother taught me that, I said, and now I'm teaching you. Think she'd be proud? I looked at the photograph, at my daughter, at the life she was building from the pieces of the one that shattered. I know she would be. I still have the broken Leica in a box in my closet. Sometimes I take it out, hold the pieces, remember that Thanksgiving. The night everything changed. The night Amy learned to choose herself. Brandon sends emails occasionally. Updates on his progress in treatment. Apologies for everything. Requests to talk. Amy doesn't respond. Maybe someday she will. Maybe someday he'll be healthy enough to deserve her attention. But that's not today. Today, Amy has her own apartment, her own life, her own growing collection of cameras, each one carefully chosen, each one loved. She takes pictures for herself now, not to document others' lives, but to understand her own. And me? I'm still here in this big house in Hartford, surrounded by Margaret's photographs and memories. But it doesn't feel empty anymore. Amy visits twice a week. We cook together, talk about her students, about her photography, about everything and nothing. Last week, she brought someone by, a man named David, an English teacher at her school. Quiet, kind, asked permission before sitting in Margaret's favorite chair. He looked at Amy the way I used to look at Margaret, the way everyone deserves to be looked at. He seems nice, I told her after he left. He is. Really nice. Almost suspicious how nice. She smiled. But I'm taking it slow, learning to trust my instincts again. Your instincts are good. You just had to remember how to listen to them. She hugged me tight. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. After she left, I went to the living room, stood in front of the camera cabinet. Margaret's collection, -1. The empty space where the Leica used to sit is still there. I haven't filled it. Probably never will. Some broken things can't be fixed. But sometimes, in the breaking, we learn what's truly worth protecting. We learn that love isn't about sacrifice at any cost. It's about knowing what to hold on to and what to let go. Margaret knew that. She tried to tell me about Brandon in her gentle way. I wish I'd listened sooner. But maybe Amy needed to learn this lesson herself. Maybe we all do. I turned off the lights, locked up the house, went upstairs to bed. In the morning, I'd call Amy. Maybe we'd get coffee. Maybe she'd show me her new photographs. Maybe we'd just sit together, comfortable in the silence that comes from truly knowing someone. Either way, it would be good. Not perfect. Not the life I planned when Margaret was alive. But good, real, true. And Margaret, wherever she is, would approve of that.